Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here, and welcome to another review. So, this time we are reviewing Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, as always, I am not a professional movie reviewer in the slightest, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I, for the most part, had a good time with this movie. The first time in a few weeks that we're reviewing a Star Wars movie. Uh, I decided to take a little hiatus after I reviewed Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, but now we're back with Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And a lot of new stuff going on, some for good, some for bad, in the Star Wars world, but let's get into it. So, for those of you who watched videos like this before, or you kind of already know for the most part how this works, but for those of you who are new to this sort of thing, first of all, welcome. But also, pretty much I'm going to be talking about what I liked, what I didn't really like about the movie, and in the case of the Star Wars Skywalker saga, which we're talking about here, which is episodes 1 through 9, even though episodes 4, 5, and 6 came before 1, 2, and 3. But pretty much, I'm going to be talking about the movie in question that I review, its overall impact on the franchise as a whole, and what impact did this movie have on the Star Wars franchise as a whole. Let's go in and find out. Starting with what I liked for the most part about the movie is the fact that they're keeping the story going. This is the first time since Episode 3 back in 2005 that we had a live action canon Star Wars movie, and keeping the narrative going as we get some new characters, some new environments, and we see some old characters returning kind of as like fan service. We see like C-3PO and R2-D2. We see Han Solo and Chewbacca. We see Princess Leia, aka General Organa, and I may interchange between the two as we do this review and everything. And then at the end, we get Luke Skywalker. Right? And like I said, the old, but we also get some new characters. 3 new main characters that are introduced. We have Rey, who is a slave on Jakku, who is waiting for her family. She lives on Jakku and is waiting for her family to come and get her, but they never come. So she decides to go with the Resistance when they come to her planet, and she runs into BB-8, the droid with the ball and everything. And as he's able to move around and stuff, we get Finn, a former stormtrooper, who decides he's had enough stormtrooping, enough of living the bad guy life after taking out a bunch of the residents of Jakku, and so he decides to join up with the Resistance, kinda. At first, he more so wants to just like get away from it all and pretty much like escape. But then, after Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Rey are all ambushed, he decides to join up with the Resistance after all. And then we have Poe Dameron, the pilot, who sadly we see like in the opening part of the movie, and he interacts with Finn. Poe is captured by the Sith, aka the First Order, which we'll get to. And he's torching everything because BB-8 contains a map to Luke Skywalker, so Poe's torching everything, but Finn turns against the Sith army to pretty much help out Poe and leave and everything. But then Poe, who we think is dead, is gone for like a good portion of the movie, like about half the movie. He shows back up and then just as a pilot in the background, which kind of sucks. I wanted to see a little more from him. I think we do get a little bit more from him as the movie goes on, but I did want to see a little more from him because he had potential in terms of like a character and everything. And in terms of these new characters being introduced, like what overall part do they play in the story. For now, they're just kind of new. Rey, he has a connection to the Skywalker family, and Luke's Luke's lightsaber, which she finds, and ends up calling to her, and so she wants to. She doesn't want it at first, but then when she sees that her friend Finn is in trouble, well, she takes up the Skywalker. She takes off the lightsaber, I should say, and uses it to save Finn against new villain, which we'll get to. But yeah, kind of interesting. These new characters being introduced. Not a whole lot of meat on the bones, sadly, when it comes to them, but hopefully they'll be explored in later movies. In terms of the bad guys this time around, now we have the First Order. So before it was the Galactic Empire, the evil Galactic Empire in the originals, and then it was the Sith taking over the Republic in the prequels. But now we have the First Order, which is supposed to be like this movie's version of the Sith, and they are led by Emperor Snoke, who tempted Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, that's Han Solo, and Princess Leia's son, and tempted over to the dark side to become the evil Kylo Ren, pretty much wanting to take after his grandfather Darth Vader, which someone should probably tell him that Darth Vader went back to the side of light, but you do you, Kylo. But yeah, so and of course with a lot of Sith around this time, starting with the prequels, Kylo has the cool new lightsaber with the main part and then the two little edge parts at the end. But in terms of what I didn't really like about the movie, for starters, I do wish we got to see a little more of the First Order, like how they came to be and everything. And hopefully we'll get to see them explored a bit more as we go on. And I feel like the characters could have been fleshed out a little more, and I feel like the fan service was kind of just that fan service to remind people, hey, this is a Star Wars movie. But the movie has the gall to kill off Han Solo in this movie. Kylo stabs him with the lightsaber, which that is a gutsy move, kicking off this new era of Star Wars by killing off one of the most iconic Star Wars characters in Han Solo. Pretty gutsy move, and I get it, they want to establish that Kylo, like, wants nothing to do with his family, and has definitely turned over to the dark side, right? So he kills his father, but I feel like with that, you kind of risk alienating some of that older fan base when it comes to the characters, because Han Solo is like an established character, and he's someone who is so beloved at this point. It's not like Obi-Wan, where he dies in like the first ever Star Wars movie, and then we learn more about him in the prequels and everything. And that, I think, is different because Obi-Wan was already established as a character. Obi-Wan, aka Ben Kenobi, is already a character in Star Wars canon who dies in like episode 4, but it's really the first Star Wars movie ever made. But then we learn more about him in the prequels. Now, if it was reverse order, where it was 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6, the same thing might happen with a new era starting, but it starts with Obi-Wan being killed off. And I feel like that's kind of what we get with Han here. Now, sometimes some main characters do have to be killed off in order for the narrative to work, but definitely gutsy. He definitely gutsy and a bit risky to do that here. But speaking of Han Solo, why weren't him and Leia allowed to remain as a couple in the movies? Why did they have to be split up? I think my theory is that it explains why Kylo Ren fell to the dark side, but I mean, Anakin had Jedi around him and he fell to the dark side, although we find out that the Republic was being corrupted and that the Jedi were kind of stubborn and kind of had their own problems. But Han and Leia could have been still a couple, could have remained a couple, and Kylo still fall to the dark side and everything. And so why did Han and Leia have have to be split up. Of course, Leia stayed with the Resistance and everything, and Han went back to being a smuggler, bounty hunter, and everything, alongside Chewbacca. So it almost feels like that whole romance was kind of undone, which does alienate. There's that phrase again, alienating that like older fan base who remembers Han and Leia being together and remembers how Han grew as a character, where he was just like a simple bounty hunter smuggler. Now he's a bit more responsible while working with the Rebel Army and everything alongside Leia, but now he pretty much went back to that. And why did he have to revert? Why not just have him stay with the Resistance, have him stay with Leia? And like I said, you could still have Kylo fall to the dark side and everything. And it still could have been possible. They could have explained it a different way. Him still being tempted away by Emperor Snoke and everything, and over to the dark side. But having that be undone, I think, kind of soured me a little bit. And ultimately was kind of weird. Like, why would you undo that goodwill that you established by having Leia and Han get together in the older trilogy, and then in this new one, now they're split up again? It really made no sense. And I feel like the lack of like depth when it came to the First Order, the fact that they're just kind of there without really being explored, or does leave some questions unanswered, and not really in a good way. As to how did Kylo get tempted over, and how did it lead to the breakup of Han and Leia? It's kind of alluded to, but not really elaborated upon. But here's hoping that they elaborate on it a little more as we continue in the sequel trilogy. I'm still gonna hold out optimism. I'm still gonna try to give the sequels a chance, because ultimately, yeah, I feel like I should at least check it out for myself. Oh, even with some negative reception from others, a lot more like the hardcore Star Wars fans. I think like kind of casual fans may not care as much about some of these changes, but it's a lot of hardcore fans, they didn't really like it. And seeing the older movies, the sequel, not the sequel, the original trilogy, and then the prequel trilogy, I kind of understand some of those frustrations, but I'm still going to give it a chance. We're still going to check out the rest of them, and we already started. We might as well finish off. So next time we do Star Wars review is going to be for Episode 8, The Last Jedi. But in the meantime, in terms of significance, like I alluded to, it's the start of something new, a start in the new chapter of the Skywalker saga, and it is a little weird that the Jedi still have to fight against the Sith, even though they were seemingly wiped out after Palpatine's death in Episode 6 of the original trilogy. But I feel like that would have been explained a lot better if we got kind of more backstory as to how the First Order came to be. But like I said, here's to hoping that the later movies will elaborate. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can check it out as soon as it drops. And I will see you guys later. Peace.